Are we recording? We're so low. We're so low because I was doing... I was talking about half pigeon. Yes. Good grief. me. Sometimes... Yeah, sometimes I record stuff, back to back. It's just the way it is. So, Niyamas, and all that jazz. When we talk about the yamas, we have non-violence, truth, non-possessiveness, or is it non-stealing? Non-possessiveness, non-stealing, I think are two. Avoid overindulgence. Listen, I'm working on the translations because when you read them, non-possessiveness, non-stealing, non-overindulgence, honesty, and wow. This is what happens when you try to remember 5 things simultaneously and then speak them simultaneously. It all goes pfft. So you have non-violence, you have truth, you have non-possessiveness, non-stealing, and non-indulgenceness. I don't like those English translations. I've not come up with better stuff for them just yet. Maybe I never shall. But I wanted to talk about non-stealing. Let's just get all of that stuff out of the way. I want to talk about non-stealing. Don't steal shit. Okay, what does that mean? Although it does mean don't literally, go and take somebody's things that are not yours. I like to apply it to the future version of me. Don't steal from the future version of me. And for me, that means sometimes not overindulging. It means maybe being cognizant of what I'm doing tomorrow morning and what time I go to bed. It means making sure all my yoga stuff is ready and assembled before, long before class. Long before I have to leave for a class. Listen, I'm much more organized than I make out to be right now. Really, I am. It means, literally, don't steal. And in this particular context, I'm talking about time and experience from the future version of you, right? Past you, we like to blame past you for stuff. How many times has any of us said, "What was I thinking?" Well, I can tell you this with some semblance of certainty. You probably were not thinking to yourself, I will make decisions today that will make my life so much more difficult tomorrow. I mean, maybe you were, but we generally try to make the best decision we can at any given moment. Hindsight is 20/20. That is not reserved for the times when you say hindsight is 20/20. Every time you say, "What was I thinking?" or "Why did I do that?" Hindsight is 20/20. We realize now that we didn't know something then. And the fact of the matter is we're always living in a state of unawareness. There's always something we don't know. No matter what the decision is we make today, we're going to go down the road and we're going to look back at ourselves and say, "Ooh, why did I do that thing?" The truth is we did that thing because we thought it was the best thing to do at the time. And to practice nonviolence means to not be mad at that past person that we were. It also means don't steal from the future version of us by holding on to that self-anger, which isn't a true thing. We want to hold on to that for various reasons, and they're not healthy reasons, right? We don't need that stuff. So when we end up in a yoga studio or on the mats or somewhere and somebody says, "Let go of something you don't need," that's a good thing to keep in that category to let go of. We don't need to steal from our future selves, and we don't need, that's just it. And we don't need to hold on to that stuff because that's still also stealing from our future selves. It's a little circuitous. The point is, don't steal shit applies not just to physical things. It applies to emotional and spiritual space and well-being. For yourself as well as others. Maybe consider that. Another very easy example that isn't practiced often enough is when you see one of those memes posted where it says, you know, that person at the checkout counter is having their own day of days. Taking your shit out on them won't fix anything, right? Like, you don't have to be nice, but be kind. Be compassionate. Don't steal emotional and spiritual space. Also, just don't steal shit, you know? That has been your Niyama Wednesdays. It's a complex one that I keep finding. Well, I mean, here's the deal. Here's the shorthand of it. The more I practice observing and thinking about the yamas and niyamas, the more I find them intertwined, which is kind of an obvious thing, right? Like, that's, like, no kidding. Thanks for coming to my Wednesday talk on the yamas and niyamas. Wednesday wisdom. Could I be so presumptuous? Namaste.